and welcome to this week's episode of Dadas Show, coming to you from Pullman, Nairobi, here in Upper Hill. I'm your host, Ashiko Mbune. As our name suggests, Dadas Show aspires to promote the spirit of sisterhood and solidarity amongst Kenyan women. And we do this by creating an open and a safe platform for women to discuss any and all issues pertaining to their health and well-being, their lifestyle and career, their families, among other topics. We also take pride in having the conversations that matter, not only to women, but to our communities at large. Now, after 9 months of pregnancy and the excitement of childbirth, many would imagine that the journey is over. But the reality is a new chapter unfolds. This is the postnatal period, also known as the fourth trimester. For many, this moment is filled with joy, bonding, and of course, growth. And also a lot of, physical recovery, emotional changes, and in some cases, health challenges like postpartum depression. Unfortunately, postnatal care is one of the most overlooked aspects when it comes to maternal health care in Kenya and beyond. So on today's episode, we are looking at what happens to a woman in those critical months and weeks after delivery, why support is so crucial, and what ways can communities, families, and health systems put together to work better with these new mothers to ensure their well-being. As always, we encourage you to keep this conversation going on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. You can also reach us on Facebook at Dadas Show KBC. You can also reach me personally at Ashiko the host across all social media platforms. Give us your feedback, your opinion about this and any other show we may have. Now, before this conversation, let's take a look at the following feature.
Postnatal care is the attention given to mothers and newborns immediately after birth and during the first 6 weeks of life. It includes checking for dangerous bleeding, high blood pressure, infections, breastfeeding support, vaccination and mental health screening. Health experts call it the golden window, a time when most preventable deaths occur if warning signs are missed. Despite its importance, thousands of mothers go without it. Some live too far from facilities. Others believe they only need help during pregnancy or delivery. And for many, the cost of transport or time away from home is simply too high. In clinics and hospitals, nurses and doctors work to reverse that trend. They encourage mothers to return within 48 hours of birth and at least 3 more times before the baby turns 6 weeks old. Early visits can catch problems before they become life-threatening. Across Kenya, community health volunteers are stepping up, visiting homes, teaching warning signs, helping mothers navigate the health system. Their outreach is saving lives quietly, one household at a time. Experts say if every woman and newborn received quality postnatal care, maternal deaths could drop by a third and newborn deaths by nearly a half. It's one of the simplest, most cost-effective ways to protect families. For new mothers, the journey doesn't end at birth. With proper care, it's a journey into health, hope, and stronger start for the next generation. For Dadas Show, I am Edna Murungi.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, our conversation of the day is Beyond Birth. This is Rethinking Postnatal Care in Kenya. And of course, joining me in this discussion is obstetrician and gynecologist, Dr. Nelly Bosire. Dr. Nelly is a friend of Dadas Show. We've had her on the show multiple times, and we're always looking forward to her insights in this conversation. So karibu sana, Daktari. Thank you. Right next to her, we've got Judy Kihumba. Judy Kihumba, to start us off, first of all, has been recognized by BBC as in the group of the 100 most inspiring ladies. And truly she is, because Judy Kihumba is a sign language interpreter and, of course, the founder of Talking Hands, Listening Eyes. And this is an organization that provides basic health information, especially for deaf, on mental health, especially for deaf mothers. I know this is is one area that is often overlooked, in terms of postnatal care. So thank you so much, Judy, for joining us, for gracing us with your presence. And finally, we've got Siglinda Mgenyi, the lady with a beautiful name. Siglinda is from Jacaranda Health Kenya. This is, of course, a non-profit organization that focuses on improving maternal and newborn health outcomes in public spaces. Of course, I cannot fail to acknowledge my wonderful, wonderful audience for taking time to sit with us each week as we discuss contentious issues that are affecting the women of Kenya, as we celebrate, as we learn and unlearn, all in the spirit of growing each other. Asanteni sana. And you at home for joining us as we discuss things that are definitely improving us as women and, of course, the communities at large. So let's start the conversation. I want to start off with a question to all of you. You know, we are talking about postnatal care, which is also known as the fourth trimester. You know, so people are finished. Oh, we finished pregnancy 3. No. I'm the one informing you there's a fourth trimester. This is always so critical, but it's often overlooked in maternal health care. Why do you think that is? Everybody can give me their opinion, but I'll start off with you, Dr. Nelly.
Oh, well, I like to look at it. For instance, I compare it to Formula One, something my family loves to watch.
Yes.
For the viewer, it begins and ends with the race. But we forget how much practice goes into the before, which is pregnancy. And there's a lot of investment in that to get the racers ready for the race.
Yes.
Then there is the actual race where it's childbirth.
Yes.
And everyone's waiting to see where the medal is, which is the newborn that's coming into the world.
Yes.
But very few of us get to see that the car goes back for service, maintenance, and all of that.
Yeah.
And that's really what the fourth trimester is all about. The space a woman's body goes through to be able to successfully adapt to carrying a newborn and grow them from microscopic size to a whole human being who is 3 kilos, 3.5 kilos, bring them into the world successfully. It leaves a lot on her body that one needs to recover and go back to pre-pregnancy state, and that is a process that's physiological, that's mental, that's psychological, and it's also very physical.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it also comes, it's not that because the baby came now, mom can, breathe and step back and relax. She has to take care of a newborn. So there is her body that's going back to what it's supposed to be pre-pregnancy, but then there's also the added responsibility of the newborn and the adjustments that her body has to make to be able to take care of her child. So it is a very delicate period, and we've been calling it the fourth trimester. We're currently working to see if we can expand it beyond the first 6 weeks, as it has traditionally been known.
Yes.
And actually currently the WHO Technical Working Group on Postnatal Care is actually looking to expand this to a year.
Oh, wow.
So that then we are able to not be so focused on taking care of the baby who
And then we
started
forget the
growing, and then
mother.
we forget the mother. And that comes with a lot of repercussions.
Okay, thank you so much. I really like your analogy on Formula One. I think most people are like, oh, the race is over. Then you're wondering, do they stash the cars somewhere? Do they destroy them? In this point, we are the metaphorical cars. So thank you so much, Dr. Nelly, for that. What about you, Judy? I mean, what is your take, especially in the space that you deal with? Why do you think that the fourth trimester, the postnatal care, especially with focus to the mother, is often overlooked?
I would top up on what she has said because I think she has explained so much. I'll say that most of the times we look at the event, just giving birth, more than looking at the long journey that this mother has to go, which most of the times make her see the baby, not the mother.
Oh, wow, yes.
Yeah.
I like that. We had a conversation one time, we were talking about postnatal care, even when we were preparing for this show. And we talked about, in my mind even, and in most people's mind, when you think about postnatal care, it's normally, well, baby clinic, baby this, baby that, baby that.
Yes.
In the clinics nowadays, is there a woman, is there a doctor, is there a health practitioner, even at home, who is asking, how is mommy doing? Is mommy okay?
Yeah.
What about you? Why do you think that happens, Siglinda?
I think they've said it quite well, and for me it's the same thing. We celebrate the pregnancy, we celebrate the arrival of the newborn baby, and then we forget there's actually a lot that happens postnatally. And I think the birthing event is a very exciting one, and we often just focus on that event, as Judy has said. But there's a lot that happens, as Dr. Bosire has said, to the mother. There's a lot that happens within her body as she's adjusting, and to the baby as well. The baby is entering a new world. They were in utero, and now the
we're in a new world and their systems are trying to adapt to being in the world, but we often just forget about both parties, the mom and the baby, what's going on. And I think this is why the work we do at Jacaranda is really important, forcing us to think about the pregnancy journey, but also the postnatal journey. How can we support our mothers, our healthcare workers, and our governments to make sure that they're thinking about what postnatal care looks like?
Okay, thank you so much for that. Now, we've been talking about things are happening to the mother, things are happening. Of course, we know there's the whole expelling a whole child from your body, you know, which is no easy feat. So you were talking about, you know, from microscopic size to 3.5. I was about to tell you maybe go for 3.9. That's the size my son was when he was being born. He would have gone to nursery school the next day. But what are some of the most common complications that women face immediately after childbirth, and how can they be identified early?
Postnatal period begins immediately the baby's out. So there is the overlap of what we call the fourth stage of labor, which is baby's out, the placenta is out, we have ascertained that the mother is stable, but then there's that immediate monitoring to ensure that we actually try to minimize the occurrence of some of the complications. But top on the list, the number one killer why women die: postpartum hemorrhage. No, it hasn't changed. It has not been replaced by another complication. This is still the leading reason why women die. And most people assume that postpartum hemorrhage only happens around delivery. Postpartum hemorrhage can actually occur any time up to 6 weeks after birth. So that's one of the things that moms need to know, that yes, we tell them you're going home, you're going to be bleeding, because the immediate postpartum delivery bleeding doesn't just stop. And it goes on all the way up to 6 weeks. But we then need to know, when should we worry, you know? And so we always say you need to look at how much, because I personally tell my patients, how do you normally have a period? And is it aligning to your period? And the moment you feel like this bleeding is getting worse than your period normally does, it's a time for concern. Second is, what's the smell of the blood? If it starts to smell off, if it's smelling offensive, then likely we know there is infection. And in delayed postpartum hemorrhage, what we call secondary postpartum hemorrhage, infection is the commonest reason why the woman is going to bleed. Okay, whether this infection is purely that, you know, she had an ascending infection from the vagina, or we had retained products of conception that didn't come out, because as long as you have material that shouldn't have remained in the womb after the baby, then it is subject to infection.
Of course.
And this can actually make the woman bleed. Infections can be localized to the genital tract, or they can actually be outside of the genital tract. Things like urinary tract infections are common, and those can happen. We have other medical complications that are unanticipated. Cardiac issues. There's a specific type of cardiac problem called peripartum cardiomyopathy that happens to women as a result of pregnancy and childbirth. And these can be easily missed, because remember, postpartum moms are always thought to be tired. Or you don't get enough sleep, the baby is keeping you awake, so your fatigue is expected. But we actually don't realize until they really can't breathe that, oh my God, there is an actual problem going on. And this actually can lead to death. So we are very, very cautious. That's why we say the postpartum period is not an open check. You do not go home because you've delivered and forget about it.
And then everything is done, and we all set.
Absolutely. So the ideal is, and that's part of the reason why we say mothers should deliver in care, is that within the first 48 hours of delivery, the mother should be checked. And so for us in the hospital is that mommy had a baby, and we always try to keep them between 24 to 48 hours to give us a moment to actually review this mother and baby before we release them home, which is their first important review. After that, the ideal should be 7 days. And finally, then the final, at the very best, if the mom is fairly stable, then we can see them 6 weeks after. If not, this mother can even be seen weekly as it calls for. There is no hard and fast rule that says that the mother can only be seen up to 6 weeks. And after 6 weeks, obviously, there are moms we must continue to see. So we have moms who, for instance, had pregnancy-induced hypertension, the eclampsia. This mother is in care until we are feeling safe that her body has actually gone back to normal. Mothers who may have had diabetes in pregnancy, mothers who may not have had diabetes in pregnancy, but they have big babies. And so we're thinking we could have missed it. We still need to monitor this mother and recheck her 12 weeks after the fact to make sure that actually she didn't develop diabetes in pregnancy. And then, of course, the mental health aspect.
Yes.
So we have to evaluate, and the ideal is that in the postpartum interactions, every interaction with a mother is an opportunity to actually check whether they're having mental health issues. And we then have to look at it from a mother-baby diet. How is the mom handling the care of her own baby? How is that interaction? Is it healthy? Is it as it's supposed to be? Because those are some of the complications that can actually arise out of that. The same intensity with which we give the mother attention during pregnancy is exactly supposed to be the same in the postpartum. And one thing all moms will tell you, we stop caring about them.
Yes.
When you had your baby Ashiko, when your mother called you, what was the first question she asked? Thank you, as if you stopped being her baby.
Imagine.
Nobody asks about you anymore. Totally. Everybody's focused on the baby. And we forget that is actually very neglectful to the mother.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Bosire. Really, really well put. Judy, I want to move on to you. From your experience, in maternity hospitals, what are some of the biggest barriers that deaf mothers get, especially in getting, proper postnatal care?
I think I would say the biggest barrier is communication, because we don't have many healthcare providers who know sign language. And sometimes a deaf mom may be explaining how they're feeling, just the same way we've said how a mother should be. Sometimes they may see there is a problem or I need to be checked. But when they go to the hospital to explain how they feel, sometimes the doctors may not understand what they feel. And sometimes even the information they get, sometimes they'll just nod, thinking as a doctor they're getting it, but they're not getting it. I've seen a case where moms break down when I go to visit them and I see what they were understanding, the doctor said, and what they meant were two different things.
Oh, wow.
For example, a mom has given birth and the baby, there's that dawa they put in the eyes. And she's not aware that she's supposed to wipe that even as she continues, even after going home. And I go and ask her, how is the baby doing? Of course, we'll talk with her. Then how is the baby doing? She tells me the baby is not opening the eyes. Checking, you find that the baby has even gotten jaundice because she didn't know that she was supposed to check out on so many other things. So for this reason, I find that they feel like they are left out, yet this is where they need to get safety more. So my challenge, and the biggest challenge of all, is communication. Even for the doctor to tell them, when you go home, this is what you're supposed to check out on. Even for yourself, what you're supposed to look up for yourself. That's the same way you said, the smell of the blood. If they are not aware, it's supposed to smell differently so there's so much, and all this is about communication, I would say.
Oh, wow. Wow, thank you so much. And we definitely thank God that there are people like you who are filling in the gaps. Now, Siglinda, moving on to talking about filling gaps, how is Jacaranda addressing the gaps in postnatal care? Because we're talking about lack of communication, we're talking about adequate follow-up. So how is the organization, since you work very, very closely with public health facilities and systems, how are you filling in that gap?
Thank you so much. So we are filling in the gap in 3 ways. First, we look at how can we support the mother to have adequate information postnatally, to understand what her body is going through, what we were talking about earlier. So we provide an SMS-based service for the mothers where we educate her through pregnancy and postnatally, teaching her about watching out for danger signs after pregnancy, also reminding her to go for the clinics that Dr. Nelly was talking about, and also just providing her a chance to ask us questions. So, she could go back home and she's experiencing bleeding. She can write to us and say, I've delivered 2 days ago, I've been bleeding, is this normal? And we provide the service to answer her the questions she's asking, but also when we catch that she could be talking about a danger sign, we call her back and refer her to care. So we have a service on the mother side, providing information and providing extra reminders and education, as well as referring them to care. On the health system side, we have 2 services. One is healthcare worker focused, where we train nurses and midwives and doctors around the care for newborns and vulnerable babies. So we have a trainer of trainer models where we mentor healthcare workers, just educating them for what to watch for, complications, and the extra care that newborns need to have. And then on the government side, our expertise is really around providing data for them to prioritize and understand what are the key complications that we're talking about, what are the key complications postnatally. How can you prioritize improving the health system so that mothers, as they come back for their postnatal care, newborns as they are brought back by their mothers, they have the adequate services that they need. Also, like, what are the investments you're making in the health system to make sure that the right commodities, the right healthcare workers, the right infrastructure is there for the health system to support postnatal care. So that's what we do, and we do this in over 50% of Kenyan counties. We work with 24 county governments, and we've been able to reach over 1,000 healthcare providers, and annually we're reaching about 580K mothers, just providing them with the support.
Oh, wow. Congratulations, and keep up the good job, Jacaranda. Thank you so much. Now, let's move on to something that, of course, Kenyans are still considering. This is stigma. This is not, there's very minimal information about it, and this is postpartum depression. You know, how common, Dr. Bosire, is postpartum depression in Kenya, and why does it often go undiagnosed?
That's an interesting question, because I don't think statistically we've been very accurate. And the reason for this is because of underdiagnosis. But overall statistics will say that depressive illness in postpartum period can range, of course, from very mild to very severe. And that is expected to occur in at least 1 in every 4 mothers. It is that common. It's just that many will not be diagnosed, so will not seek care, and therefore will not be documented appropriately. And for many people, because they're not used to seeing this, it's really sort of swept under the carpet a lot, that nobody actually wants to think that the mother should be having a problem, because societally we are supposed to be excited about motherhood. We're supposed to be excited about, you know, being able to have brought forth a life, and therefore people do not understand that the postpartum depression occurrence has nothing to do with whether the mother is excited about being a mother or not. You understand? It's a mental health illness that is going to occur at that time. And so the support that is required then is not properly thought through. It's not a service that is, first of all, from the point of diagnosis, is not well taught, is not well trained. If you actually took a random poll of, let's talk about midwives, who are the backbone of our postpartum care units in this country, you'll probably find that maybe only 1 in 10 remembers that this is a possibility. So it's not put there as routine screening. Yet ideally, it is supposed to be a routine screening tool. The same way a mother comes into care, she has a blood pressure taken, she has a weight taken. There is actually supposed to be a mental state evaluation that gives you an idea of, do we think the mother may or may not have a risk of going into postpartum care, postpartum depression. On the other hand, even for us who are in care as the care providers pre-delivery, we also fail to begin to pick up the high-risk mother who has a high likelihood of ending up with postpartum depression after the baby has come. So we have a condition that is quite common, that is getting worse because our support structures around childbirth are going away. Remember, in the African setting, the baby was born and the entire community was available to care. So you were told you had a baby, you go and rest, we will feed you in bed, right? Somebody will take care of the baby. When the baby is breastfed, somebody else will help to burp, somebody will help to change the diapers. But that's no longer there. We actually see moms who drive themselves to the hospital, park their car in the parking lot, walk into the delivery room, they deliver their baby, discharge themselves, strap their baby into a car seat, and drive themselves back home. To go home alone.
To go home and handle all of that alone. Sorry to cut you short, because I think one more crucial, just before we take a break, and I'd like, Siglinda, for you to take that. What are some of the telltale signs? And of course, we can add on to that after the break. What are some of the telltale signs? Because we are talking about it's undiagnosed because it's not known. Of course, the relationship with the child. You know, might you have an idea what are some of the telltale signs that you have experienced of postpartum depression?
Yeah, I'm not an expert here, but just reflecting on some of the messages and questions we get from our mothers that could possibly be experiencing postpartum depression is inability to bond with the baby or inability to take care of the baby. I think that's often one of the clearest signs. And then the second one, going back to the mother, is inability to take care of themselves. So they might not be able to feed themselves. They might not have had a shower for a couple of days. They might also not be leaving their house for a couple of days. So these are some of, I think, the messages and questions we get from mothers. They say, I've had my baby and I'm not feeling excited about this baby. What could be the problem? And I think those are some of the signs we see, just looking at what
from
mothers
the hotline.
ask.
Nelly, you have something to add? Judy, you have something to add before
I'll
we leave?
say yes, because I went through postpartum depression.
Okay.
And that's how Talking Hands was started.
Yes.
Because I had not heard about postpartum depression, and as Doc is saying, it's true. Some of the things that a mother goes through sometimes can help doctors to know if this mother will go through postpartum or not. Because had I been checked, they would have known there was something going on that would have caused postpartum depression. And what I would say that what made me go through start the organization is because I didn't have a lot of information. And the deaf people, most of my friends are deaf people. The deaf people would come to check on me and they would see me different from the other days. Sometimes I don't want even anybody to touch my baby because I had lost so many people within that time of pregnancy that I held on to even to the baby, including losing a pregnancy along the journey. So if somebody had checked on me and had known this person is behaving differently, then it would have been checked and would have been diagnosed, and I would not have gone through the pain I went through because I was having these headaches that were never going. Even when you take medication, they are never going. So I'd say that we need to be more keen, and as she says, and I hope this message goes to our healthcare providers, that we need to be more keen on mothers when they come for clinics. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. And I really hope that at home, if there are any healthcare workers or people involved in the healthcare systems, you're definitely taking notes, okay? So we're going to take a short break and then we'll be back for the question and answer session. Don't go far away. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Dadas Show, and our conversation for the day is Beyond Birth, redefining postnatal care. And we've had a very, very engaging first session. We're about to jump into the question and answer session. Remember to keep this conversation going on all our social media pages at KBC Channel 1 across all social media platforms, Ashiko the host across all social media platforms, and Dadas Show KBC on Facebook. We look forward to hearing your thoughts, your opinions on this and any other show we may have. So jumping straight into our questions, our first question of the day is from Mr. Andrew. Andrew, karibu sana. I hope you're not feeling very overwhelmed. Karibu sana, the floor is yours.
My question is for Siglinda. What low-cost, community-driven solutions are making a difference in maternal health?
Thank you so much, Andrew, for that question. I'm going to talk about a low-cost, very empowering solution that Jacaranda has been implementing over the last couple of years. And this is an SMS-based solution that I talked about earlier. So at Jacaranda Health, we have a solution called PROMPT, and that stands for Promoting Mothers in Pregnancy Through SMS. And what this service does is provide mothers with information in pregnancy and postnatally. The service is absolutely free to the mother. It's tech-enabled, it's AI-enabled. And what we're doing here is providing the mom with key things. One, information to understand what's happening to her during pregnancy and postnatally. Two is ability to ask questions to the platform absolutely free of charge so that she has sort of a companion as she's going through her pregnancy and postnatal journey. And then three, refer her to care. As we were talking about earlier, there are some complications that arise postnatally. So in case she's experiencing any danger signs or complications, we have the ability to catch some of those danger signs she's experiencing and refer her to care. As I said, this solution is absolutely free to the mother. And one of the other things that's really powerful is we integrate healthcare workers and the government health system into this solution by providing data to them, showing them what mothers are asking for, what gaps are they reporting as they go to facility around, what are some of the key services that are missing. So when you think about postnatal, for example, we know that a mother is supposed to go for her checkup after, Nelly recommended after 7 days,
After
right?
7 days, yes.
And after 2 weeks and after 6 weeks. So what we do every time the mom goes back to the facilities, we ask her, at 2 weeks, you were supposed to get this service. Did you actually get it? So if she tells us, yes, I got it, how was the experience as you're getting that service? And we aggregate all of this information and share it back to to the health system so that they can continuously make improvements. To access this service,